And our guests are here to discuss the Supreme Court deciding to get involved in this Mississippi case and make a ruling. Charles Adams, attorney. So why do you think the Supreme Court, after 50 years, decided to take up this case, potentially ending Roe versus Wade?
I think there's very little chance that Roe v. Wade will be ended, although Justice Kavanaugh has proven himself to be a tremendous, not constrained by stare decisis. He's an activist jurist, a conservative activist jurist, and that's why we saw such a brutal confirmation for Kavanaugh. That hearing wasn't about whether or not he was a rapist. It was the fears of the left about the ability to sustain Roe, and Roe is an incredibly result-oriented decision. It represented an unprecedented extension of the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything's going to happen. It's much ado about nothing. It's just going to fuel the fire for the argument on one side to expand the court, and then you're going to have a lot of conservative activists like Tex here screaming a bunch of craziness about the right to choice, which will all be interesting, but it's much ado about nothing.
Tex, that's your cue. Are you screaming a bunch of nothing in this case?
Well, that's what he does.
So absolutely not. What I do is, like last year, came in and did my part and participated in Title X, and we defunded $60 million a year from Planned Parenthood in the appellate courts in the 9th District. So, Charles,
it's appellate, not appeal it.
So I'm a lifesaver. I'm not someone who contributes to the ideology that murder is right. And so we're very excited because it's cases like mine last year being the biggest case in the United States of America in 2020 that got us to this point here in 2021. There's going to be similar cases that we're winning in the appellate courts, and that the states say, hey, we need to get this right because we've gotten it wrong, because there is value in life.
No one's winning in appellate courts. They're appellate courts, and it's just wasting taxpayer money, and it's nonsense. I think abortion
one at a time, guys. One at a time.
But Jesus, Tex, why lie?
The courts want to go ahead and do in full force. So I'm very, very, very excited. This is what you get when you get a Republican president that came in and says, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pack these courts because we have 3 separate branches of government, and President Trump may be gone, but guess what? It only takes 4 out of the Chief Justice to go ahead and say, let's bring this to fruition.
Okay, Tex, let's bring in the ladies here. State Representative Jasmine Crockett, let's hear from you on the Supreme Court's decision to hear this case out of Mississippi.
Yeah, I actually agree that when it comes down to listening to this, it's just going to be an exercise in affirming what the Supreme Court precedent already is. I mean, the reality is that, we see so many states that are trying to overturn this. And so I think with us having a Republican majority on this court and them basically affirming what we already know to be the law of the land, I think it's just going to go ahead and try to put a chill on what we see going on in states such as Texas, where we are attempting to somehow legislate that we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, and it's not happening.
Rebecca Palmer from Texas Right to Life, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, Texas Right to Life is encouraged that the Supreme Court is taking up this case. And, we can't know how they're going to rule, but this case certainly has a very broad question that they're considering of, are all pre-viability bans unconstitutional? And what is the state's interest in protecting life pre-viability? And with that question, we're giving the Supreme Court that option to rehear this case, rehear abortion precedent, and correct that flawed precedent in our view, if they so choose to do that on this very broad question.
Dolores Lozano, let's hear from you on this issue.
Yeah, I'd say the choice to have an abortion is a deeply personal one. I know because I've had one with the Supreme Court taking up a case designed to help eventually overturn Roe versus Wade. We have to remember that the anti-abortion movement doesn't care about women's health in general. It's all about controlling people's bodies. And I really encourage more men to step up and speak out about this because women's health is at stake right now.
Rebecca, is that your motive, just to control women's bodies and not caring about children?